Hey everyone, welcome back. So today we are going to be diving deep into that crazy Mavs-Celtics game from February 6th. You know the one where the Mavs won 127-120? You said over this awesome analysis, and I'm pumped to like really break it down, with our expert here
Yeah, absolutely.
and kind of figure out, how the Mavs managed to pull off that win.
For sure.
Because it was a close one, right?
Oh, yeah, it was a nail biter.
But, the score doesn't really tell the whole story, does it?
Nope, not even close. What really jumps out at me from this analysis is you know how both teams were constantly adjusting their strategies? Like, it was a real chess match happening out there.
Oh, wow, okay. I'm intrigued.
Everyone always focuses on the star power, but the real story is in the coaching, you know? And how both teams adapted throughout the game.
Okay, I'm ready. Let's dive in.
Okay.
So let's start at the beginning. The analysis talks about Klay Thompson's hot start. I mean, was this guy even missing? He was just draining threes from everywhere.
Yeah. Seriously, it was like he couldn't miss. The analysis actually points out that he hit his first 4 three-point attempts.
Wow.
I know, right? That forced the Celtics to adjust their defense almost immediately, which really messed up their flow, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
They were definitely expecting a more balanced attack from the Mavs.
Right. But the Celtics have Tatum and Brown. Yeah,
Huh.
those guys can just take over any time, right?
Yeah, you'd think so, but it wasn't that simple. Actually, the analysis shows that the Celtics bench outscored the Mavs bench in the first half. So while Tatum and Brown were doing their thing, it was the role players who kept them in the game early on.
Whoa, that's interesting. I hadn't even thought about that.
Yeah.
So how did the Mavs counter that unexpected bench production?
Well, the analysis highlights this key defensive adjustment they made in the second quarter. They started trapping Tatum and Brown more aggressively, forcing the ball out of their hands, basically making the Celtics supporting cast try to beat them.
Okay, interesting. And did that work?
It did. The Celtics' field goal percentage dropped big time in the second quarter, and the Mavs were able to build a small lead going into halftime.
Okay.
But the analysis also makes it clear that the game was far from over at that point.
Gotcha. So the second half was where things got really crazy. The analysis mentioned like this back and forth battle. It must have been intense.
Dude, it was like a heavyweight fight. The analysis describes it as a battle of adjustments. Both coaches were constantly tweaking their strategies, just trying to exploit any weakness they could find.
Wow.
There were lead changes like all over the place. Neither team could pull away. You could practically feel the tension through the pages of the analysis. It was that good.
Wow, that sounds incredible. So with the game being so close in the final minutes, what ultimately gave the Mavs the edge? Was it Kyrie's leadership, like the analysis suggests?
Oh, yeah. Irving was clutch in those final minutes. The analysis actually details this one play where he drove to the basket, drew like 3 defenders, and then kicked it out for a wide-open three-pointer.
Classic.
Right. That play just perfectly shows his ability to control the game, and make the right decision even under pressure.
Yeah, that's Kyrie for you. So he set up the shot, but it sounds like the Mavs supporting cast really stepped up to close out the game.
They did. They really did. The analysis emphasizes how the Mavs role players made several key plays in those final minutes. From grabbing crucial rebounds to sinking those clutch free throws, it was a true team effort, for sure.
Okay, yeah, that's starting to paint a clearer picture. So the Mavs' three-point barrage early on forced the Celtics to adjust, and then their defense in the second quarter neutralized the Celtics bench. And then in the clutch, it was a combination of Kyrie's playmaking and the role players stepping up. Is that kind of what we're seeing here?
You got it. But we can't forget about the Celtics, though. They made some adjustments of their own and almost pulled off a comeback.
Right. And they have Tatum and Brown.
Yeah.
Like those guys are walking highlight reels. The analysis talked about their just insane scoring ability.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They were incredible. And speaking of which, let's take a closer look at those individual performances that really made this game so memorable.
Okay, yeah, let's do it. What stands out to you the most from the analysis? Was it Kyrie?
Right.
Tatum? Honestly, Klay's performance early on was just insane. I mean, to come out that hot, hitting all those threes, that's going to put so much pressure on the Celtics defense.
It's funny you should say that, because the analysis actually digs into the psychology behind Thompson's shooting. It argues that his hot start forced the Celtics to overcommit on the perimeter.
Yeah.
which then opened up all those driving lanes for the other Mavs players.
So it wasn't just the points he scored,
Mm.
but like how his shooting affected the Celtics' whole defensive strategy.
Exactly, and that's where the Mavs' offensive versatility really shines. They were able to capitalize on the Celtics' over-aggression by attacking the basket and finding open shooters for those corner threes.
Right. Yeah, it's like a ripple effect.
Right.
One guy's hot shooting creates opportunities for the entire team.
Exactly. And speaking of ripple effects, the analysis also mentions that Thompson's big night kind of overshadowed Porzingis. He had a really efficient game, too.
Oh, yeah, Porzingis, I almost forgot about him with all the excitement around Clay's three-point barrage.
Yeah, it's understandable. But the analysis highlights Porzingis's quiet effectiveness, especially his mid-range game and his defense. He really made a difference for the Mavs, even if he didn't get all the headlines.
So he was kind of like the unsung hero of the game,
Yeah.
doing the dirty work and making those plays that don't always show up in the box score.
Exactly. He was vital to the Mavs' win. Now, on the Celtics side, while Tatum and Brown led in scoring, the analysis does point out some missed opportunities for them.
Like what?
Tatum really struggled from the free throw line in the fourth. He missed 3 crucial free throws that could have totally changed the momentum.
Ouch. Yeah, it's got to sting. Especially in a close game like that.
For sure. And the analysis suggests that maybe Tatum's struggles at the line were due to fatigue. I mean, he played a ton of minutes and carried a heavy offensive load.
Yeah, I guess even though he put up big numbers, those missed free throws might have been a sign that he was wearing down.
It's a possibility. The analysis also points out that the Celtics, as a team, missed several key defensive rotations in that fourth quarter, which gave the Mavs some easy baskets and let them hold on to their lead.
So it sounds like it was a combination of things that led to the Celtics' loss. Tatum's struggles at the line, the missed defensive assignments, and of course the Mavs just making the right plays when it mattered most.
You nailed it. And I think the analysis really highlights the complexity of this game. It wasn't just about one player or one moment. It was a combination of strategic decisions, individual performances, and, those unpredictable moments that make basketball so great.
Totally. It makes you realize how much goes into analyzing a game at this level. It's not just about who scores the most points, right?
Right.
It's about understanding the nuances, the strategies, the little things that can shift the momentum.
Exactly. That's why I love these deep dives. We go beyond the surface and really think critically about the game.
Absolutely. So we've talked about the key plays, the adjustments, the individual performances. But what about the bigger picture? Like, what does this game tell us about these two teams and, their potential for the rest of the season?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And the analysis does offer some interesting insights. It argues that this win for the Mavs demonstrates their growth as a team. They showed resilience, adaptability, and a clutch gene. That could make them a serious contender come playoff time.
I love that the clutch gene, like they can just flip a switch and go to another level when the game's on the line.
Right. And the analysis suggests that this clutch gene is a direct result of Kyrie's leadership and, his experience in those high-pressure situations.
So Kyrie's not just a scorer. He's like the heart and soul of this Mavs team.
It seems that way. He sets the tone, makes the big plays when it matters most. But the analysis also cautions against counting the Celtics out.
Right.
They have the talent and the coaching to bounce back.
For sure. You can never count out a team with Tatum and Brown leading the charge. But with the Mavs playing like this, are they the favorites in the East now?
I wouldn't go that far just yet. But this win definitely puts them in the conversation. They've shown they can beat the best teams in the league. And they've done it with a balanced attack and a newfound resilience.
So it feels like we've got like a real rivalry brewing here. These two teams are going to be battling it out for the top spot in the East for a long time.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And this game was just a preview of what's to come. I think the analysis makes a great point about how these two teams are kind of mirror images of each other.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they both have those dynamic duos leading the way. They rely on that mix of inside and outside scoring. And they both have their sights set on a championship.
It's like watching two heavyweights going at it,
Exactly. The analysis actually uses a boxing analogy to describe the Celtics' strategy in this game.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it says they were trying to weather the storm of Thompson's hot start and then counterpunch with Tatum and Brown scoring.
But the Mavs were able to take those punches and deliver the knockout blow.
They did. They showed a toughness that we haven't really seen from them before.
So for you, what's the biggest takeaway from all of this? What's the one thing that really sticks out?
That's a good question. I think for me, it's the adaptability. The Mavs showed they could change their game plan on the fly, both on offense and defense.
Yeah.
They didn't panic when Thompson cooled off. They found other ways to score. And they didn't let Tatum and Brown just run wild. They made those guys work for every single bucket. That kind of adaptability is so crucial in today's NBA.
It's like they're playing chess out there,
Yeah,
anticipating every move and planning their counterattack.
totally. And the analysis really backs that up. It talks about how important the coaching was in this game. Both coaches were constantly adjusting, calling timeouts, trying to outsmart each other.
Wow. Yeah, it's a battle of wits, for sure. It makes you realize how much strategy goes into a game like this. It's not just about having the best players right.
Oop.
It's about knowing how to use them in the smartest way possible.
Exactly. And I think the Mavs prove they have the talent, the coaching, and the mental toughness to be a real contender this season.
Absolutely. So as we wrap up here, is there one question you would leave our listeners with? Something for them to think about as they watch these teams going forward.
I'd ask, which team is better equipped to handle adversity?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Because in the playoffs, you know you're going to face injuries, bad calls, moments of doubt. The team that can overcome those challenges, stay focused, stay composed under pressure, that's the team that's going to come out on top.
That's such a great question. And I think it's one that will continue to play out as the season goes on. Well, this has been an awesome deep dive. We went beyond the box score and really broke down this game.
Yeah, we did.
We explored the strategies, the performances, the big picture implications for both teams. I feel like we really got to the heart of it.
Absolutely.
And to our listeners, thank you so much for joining us on this journey. Keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep that love for the game alive. Until next time, this has been The Deep Dive.